welcome to another episode of the Protect the Dream Project. I am your host, Mark DeLeon. At Protect the Dream Project, our purpose of the Protect the Dream Project, I should say, is to help you, to provide you with the tools to help you move from mountaintop to mountaintop, to be a resource to inspire you and help you to move forward. We want to encourage you to do the things that you need to do that will keep you from derailing your life's plans. So we're going to look at the small stuff, the inconsequential stuff, the big stuff, the stuff that will help you to make the best decisions for your life and to make you move forward. As I think back over the last 30 years of entrepreneurship, I am grateful for the time that being a business owner has given me. But as I think back on, I also become cognizant of the fact that although I was there physically, quite often I was not there for my kids mentally. And I failed to record those awesome moments in my head that, you know, those things you wish you had stopped and taken the time to really ingrain in your mind. Many of those things have become a blur. So I thought, you know what? I've talked to some younger entrepreneurs than myself about their experience. So maybe to help them not make the same mistakes that I've made when it comes to that. So have things really changed in terms of how younger entrepreneurs deal with their time and their business? Because I know for me, it was a matter of trying to be what I thought that entrepreneur should look like, to be, to build that business. And I put everything I had into it, but I made a mistake along the way. Maybe I put too much of me into that business. So my guest today is someone who many people know as Miss Church Dress, or as an email marketing guru, or as an internet influencer. To me, she is my little cousin, but to the person that is most important to her, she is mom. Welcome, Aquila Farrell.
Thank you so much. It's so great to be here.
I'm glad you could take the time to spend with us, or with us, and us being me and the listeners.
Yes.
So, Aquila, can you maybe tell our listeners a little bit more about you? I've kind of given them a little bit of a synopsis, but tell them a little bit more about you.
My name is Aquila Farrell. I live in Oakland, California, but I was born and raised in Toronto. And my ultimate goal in life was to become a doctor. And as I was pursuing that career, I realized that that's not what I wanted, and decided to begin a career as an influencer and digital content creator. And there I had a lot of success. Like Lyndon said, my brand was Miss Church Dress. I was pretty much internationally known for my blog because I was sewing my clothing and then sharing it on my blog. And that set me apart from everyone else. And because of my success, I wanted to teach more people how to do the same thing. I had pretty much created a rinse and repeat model that was working. And with my business partner, we started an online school. And that allowed us to teach over 5,000 people how to start their digital content creation business. But the thing that was really making us successful was my work in email marketing. So, you know, my approach to email marketing was really building my email list, then nurturing it, and then selling them a product. And over the years, I've been able to do, I send millions of emails. I've sent over 10 million emails using my model. And I said, okay, maybe I can do this for other small businesses. And that's where I built my email marketing agency, which has been great, very successful. But then things changed.
Isn't that the case?
Things changed.
Oh, okay.
Greatly.
Okay.
I had an email marketing agency. I had a team. It was about 10 of us who worked together, different coordinators who managed different clients. And then I became a mom. And things were working really well because I had a person who was who was one of my mentees who took over my business. So during my maternity leave, she ran my business. And when I say she ran my business, she was running it like a multi-million-dollar agency. And it was amazing to see from the outside looking in. and being the owner of the business. And it was a great accomplishment for me to be able to step away and see all of my hard work be in play, in terms of her being able to do all the work that I did. Like, all of my SOPs were intact. My clients were very collaborative, and it was really successful. But when I returned, she wanted to change her path and wanted to work for another agency. And I was left with managing a long client list by myself with the team that I had. And I almost felt a bit confused, because I wanted to maintain my duties as an entrepreneur and a business owner. But I also had this little newborn who was crying every hour, if not every minute, and who needed all of my time and support. And, being away from family and not being in Toronto, I didn't have as many hands, and pandemic. And, it was just a huge challenge to find that balance. And I really don't think it's about balance. It was about managing the task at hand. So with that change, I said, okay, I need to find out what really matters to me in this moment. And I made a decision that sometimes I think about, was that the best decision, to restructure my business, restructure my product? And here I am today sharing more about it.
Can we talk a little bit about your support system, which you just touched on?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm gonna kind of give you my experience. Okay. Because as I said, you are my little cousin, and I'm a number of years ahead of you in this whole parenting thing. Parentpreneur, I like to call it.
I like that.
Parentpreneur?
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you write it down, it actually looks like entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's beside the point. I know for me, I was fortunate, or my wife and I were fortunate, that with our girls, we had a myriad of people that were around. And I know that I could not have accomplished what I accomplished without having that support network. And I know with you and my sister, you guys are both out there on the West Coast. The lack of a support network, how has that added to your level of stress or your difficulty in running your business?
I think that's been the ultimate challenge. Because before I had a baby, I could work all night, all day. My husband is working all night, all day. And we were both running our, he's corporate and I'm running my business. But with having a baby now, you can't work all day and night. And in the midst of a pandemic where no one's traveling, people are not available for nannying services, it really was and still is mainly my husband and I. And like I mentioned, my husband is a global leader in his company, in a corporate company, and he has been able to, I don't know how he does it. He's been able to be a nanny, he's just been the ultimate support to me. But managing my business, I realized, hey, I have to change how I'm doing business if I want to be able to be a mother, be a wife, and just be a person. Be a person who has their own mind and not a robot in, a mommy mode robot. And because I did not have as much support, I had to be ruthless with my time. My time is everything.
That was actually one of my questions. I was going to ask you about how are you prioritizing wearing multiple hats?
Yes. Time is everything for me. And before motherhood and entrepreneurship, time was like, oh, it comes, it goes. It's not a big deal. Now every minute counts. And every day I'm looking at my to-do list and I'm thinking, okay, what is the top priority for me to accomplish today? What is going to help me generate revenue? What does my child need in this moment, in this time, and what do I need to give them? And I think children always want your time. Hence why my time is priceless, and I'm very ruthless and I stick to a very tight schedule. So yeah, lack of support was a huge challenge. I had COVID against me. I had distance. My mother's not well. And my aunt has stepped in to be a pillar in my life. And yes, she was coming periodically, but day to day, it was my husband and I really trying to balance our time and set up our schedule, which would put our child at the top and all of our needs at the bottom, which is only natural.
Okay. So I'm going to kind of maybe switch gears a little bit. I know you are a woman who takes her stuff seriously.
How did you know?
I've worked with you many times. I know with whom I am dealing. How have the pressures of being successful in your business as a female entrepreneur being changed or modified, or how's it different now than your expectations before you had children?
Very great question. Like I said, I was a digital content creator. I was creating content for multi-million-dollar companies, Google, Apple, like the list goes on, Procter & Gamble. So I was creating content to speak to a certain demographic. I was looking at Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, and seeing all this content, and I fell victim to my own game. I was looking at people's content as a mother and thinking, oh my gosh, she's doing everything perfect. Or she's able to balance everything. That's what I want to do. When I became a mom, I realized that's just edited. That's the edited version with the filter on top. And the day-to-day grind and commitment to being a mother precedes any photo, is more important than any image or any makeup or hair, whatever that you want to do, or any photo shoot. And every day you're trying to get from this day to the next day successfully. Being successful for me was always about revenue. I'll be really frank.
It's all about the money, right?
At the end of the month, I want my accountant to tell me how much money I made and how much expenses, my profits, that's success to me. And it still is a huge part of my pie in terms of my holistic life. But now my daughter is a huge part of that success. Why? Because I'm spending more of my time with. She's almost a business project for me, right? And the successes that she has, her hitting her milestones, how she interacts with people, her manners, her behavior, the way she looks, is a reflection of me, actually, and how much care and nurturing I've put into her. So success has been redefined, as well as success with my family, being able to keep all those relationships open and healthy for myself and as well for my family and my daughter.
Okay, so success has changed, right?
Yeah, completely. The definition is skewed.
Yeah? Okay. I'm going to hit you with a very hard question.
Okay.
Define it. I'll tell you, for me, what success was when I had children, when my children came up. I am a traditional guy. Some of my listeners may not like this, but I firmly believe the father's role is to be the provider, to not to the exclusion of the female. Don't mistake what I'm saying to you, right? To be the protector, and to, at the end of the day, to lead in decision making. Not to necessarily make the final decision, but to lead in decision making where it happens as a team project in the home. When my children came along, yes, I love my kids, and I got so wrapped up in trying to be the provider that I missed stuff along the way, right? I was there. My oldest child is a person with a disability. If you saw her, you might not think that, but she is. And I always made myself available for her as a young child. But I was available physically because in my back pocket I had my phone, I had my computers. We would go to Florida on vacation, and in Disney I'm checking my email, right? I wasn't there 100%, and I regret those things, right? Do you find that you are able to release those kind of issues in your life where you're or is that something you're practicing on doing?
So email marketing, you're on your phone, you're on your phone, you're on your laptop all day, you're on Zoom, you're talking to clients, you're on iMessage all day. And when I had my daughter, I said, I can't do this. Like, this is physically not possible. I can't have my phone in a newborn and breastfeed and do all these things. And I said, I have to change. Like, everything I did before this, even up until the day I delivered, I was working like regular. I said, I have to change. And if I don't change, it's going to greatly impact my daughter. The changes I made were extreme. Because that's who I am. Lyndon says I don't play. I do not play about my business and my family. And just, you asked me to define what success is. Yes. Success is peace of mind for me.
Okay.
I need to be able to know where I'm going. I need to know that what I'm doing is aligned with, all of the different pieces of my life. And that piece is what I define. And every day I define success as that. So, having a baby and I can't be on my laptop, I was frustrated. And I'm like, hold on. Is this laptop important or is this baby important? Mm-hmm. Is this call with a client is important or is your daughter important? Is it important to, cook dinner for your husband? Sorry, honey. Or is it important to feed your child right now? And I found a way to release, like you said, I released myself of this addiction to social and iPhones and laptops and really focus on my daughter. If you ask my family, they will be like, wow, you've really changed. I was the girl with 2 laptops, 2 phones, always on a call. But now, spending time with my daughter in this phase of her life, she's only 2 years old, brings me so much joy. And I'm grateful that all the work that I've put in throughout the years has given me this opportunity to do that. Because not many people can. Mm-hmm. When I look at my peers, they don't have that freedom to be able to spend hours with they still have to work. They still have to go. I, because of the work that I do, have that freedom. So I take advantage of it. Because there may be a day when I go back. I might go back and I won't have that time. And again, my daughter's 2. She will be, one day she's going to be like, Mom, stay away from me. Mom, leave me alone. Maybe. She's not going to want to give me a hug.
That's
so I'm
true.
taking all the hugs and kisses now, but I'm also really savoring all these memories, and I'm really into hitting her milestones, not on time, but relatively within a certain range, so that she can thrive.
So where does parenting fit into entrepreneurship for you? I mean, how are you going about striking the balance? That's kind of a vague question.
I think initially I wanted to separate the two. I'm an entrepreneur and I'm a mom. But then I'm like, maybe I should fuse the two. Give my daughter the opportunity to see her mom, even at this age, in that role. Because then it might inspire her to do the same, or give her a seed of, okay, women can do all of this at the same time. Because I can do it. Do I necessarily want to at this time? No, not all the time. But let's bring her in. So, I tell my clients, if you don't like that my daughter's on the Zoom, well, maybe we can't work together because she might be on the Zoom. I have a baby crying in the background. I'm trying to normalize that, because the reality is that a lot of women have to completely strip that from their lives to be successful. It's a part of the success. Right. It's the reason why. That's the why. Simon Sinek says, what is your why? It's the why behind the success, right? So trying to push it away is not real. I'll tell you the truth. I was trying to hide it.
Hide what?
Hide that, I have like a mom life, because I think there's a huge stigma behind moms as a woman. It's like, oh, you're a mom? Well, then you might not necessarily be able to do the job as well, or commit all your time.
Or is that almost like an ageist? You're a mom. You have reached.
Yeah, you've reached a point.
You've reached the age where you are no longer.
You're no longer valuable in that way. And I was like, Aquila, what are you doing here? So, you have a child. Your child is your why. You're the reason, and you're giving her a front row view of your life and what you do. She's seeing the legacy that you want to live on.
Right.
You want to leave. Why not involve her? And now I keep her front and center. I keep her involved. I want her to be. She has a little desk next to my desk. She has some random books there and crayons, but just to get her to see. Oh, Mama, you're on Zoom meeting, and my husband meeting. That's her work, and that's our way of getting her involved, and letting her see like this side of our lives.
You know, I have to say that your generational group is a little wiser than my generational group in certain respects. You know, my girls, when they were 2 and 3 years old, I don't think I involved them in the same way, right? And maybe it could also be I'm the dad, right? As opposed to if it was my wife involving them. So that's a possibility as well. But I didn't involve them the same way. It was, as I said earlier, it was more of a provider. You know, how can I put this? You know, when a baby bird is born and they're in the nest, and all they do is have their mouth hanging open, and you're just kind of stuffing food in there. That's kind of the way it was for me as a father. Not that they were demanding anything. My girls are fantastic,
they're
but
amazing.
That's kind of how I envisioned it as my responsibility to make sure that I provide for these kids to grow up.
I think my husband would be a great person to come on here because I look at him and I'm like, how are you able to do, be that provider? We're very traditional as well. Be that provider and still be successful in your career and thrive there. But that's from a father, male point of view. But from a mom, I want my, everything that I'm involved in is what my daughter will see. Mm-hmm. So, even if I'm drinking tons of pop every day, my daughter's seeing me drinking soda all day, pop, whatever. She wants to drink pop all day, right? If she sees me working out, that's the newest thing. She's been doing all these downward dogs and things now at her grandparents' house, and they're like, what are you doing? She's like, Mama's exercise. She's mirroring everything because she's on my hip all day.
Right.
So for me, it was like, okay, yes, I can show her mother life, but what about business? I gave her a little a little toy laptop. I'm like, okay, are you sending emails? Yes, I'm sending it.
So what strategies have you taken in terms of self-care? Let's put the little one aside. Okay.
Great question.
The little one can often be a source of stress and joy, but more often sometimes it's stress than joy. What are you doing to be able to manage yourself mentally, dealing with maybe it's a temper tantrum in the middle of a meeting, or maybe you just need that second. Like, what are you doing? Like, what would you suggest? What would be your suggestion for young women such as yourself to be able to deal with that in their business?
So at one point I thought I was losing myself in this motherhood thing. I was not, I'm going from someone who's I was always camera ready, always New York Fashion Week, Paris Fashion Week. I was a fashion person. I'm still people still talk to me about fashion and reach out to me about fashion, working with some of the amazing brands that I've worked with. And I said, okay, I need to get back to that because that's who I really am. So, I was slowly becoming, no shade, the spread pants and t-shirt and head tie mom. And then I was like, no, this is not who I am. And I was like, okay, what am I going to be? I don't have the time to spend hours looking for that whole process. How can I make this faster and still look great and still have my self-confidence? So that's one way. Another way that, so I'm still I take a lot of pride in being camera ready, even though I have a daughter. Because what was happening, she was looking so cute, and then you look at me and it's like gollywog vibes. And that's because I lost it. You kind of lose yourself. But now I've completely, turned around and been able to figure that out. The other thing is health. So my health is a huge priority to me. My husband was so kind. He got me a Peloton, and I've been using my Peloton and using that to remove some of the stress because there's some really deep pent-up stress. So if I use my Peloton and the community, the virtual community on there, it just feels really good to spend the 20, 30 minutes on there. As well as I've been doing a lot of journaling and like fasting to help me to just find that center and that, that point that will continue to help me to rise. So those are my self-care.
So I know that in your business, one of the things you were doing a lot of was traveling.
Yeah.
Right? I know you've been kind of all over the place. Where's she this week? Kind of thing. How are you packing her? How are you packing the little one? Are you just kind of like tucking her under your arm and saying, let's go?
She just came back from Nairobi. And we were in Zanzibar, Tanzania. I told my husband I'm only having a baby if we're still going to be traveling. How we've been traveling. We've traveled the world. And I said, I wish I could have taken her to all of those places we've been. But if we're having a child, I would like to travel with them. And I, like you said, I don't play. My friend once was going to Nairobi. She invited me. Nessie, she wasn't even 2. And I spent nights researching. How do you travel 20 hours with a baby? What do you need? How do you pack? What's Nairobi like? What's Zanzibar like? And I was like, this is going to be the ultimate test. If I can go to Kenya, I can go anywhere. Yes, I've been to Toronto, New York. But if I can go to Kenya, I can go anywhere. And I will say, I aced that challenge. We went to Kenya. We flew to Istanbul for 16 hours. And then from there, we did another 6 hours to Nairobi. We spent, I think 2 weeks in Kenya. It was amazing. She was so happy and enjoyed herself. I took a lot of baby gear. But Nairobi is like a luxury city in a weird way. So it had everything you needed. And one night my husband said to me, you did really well with packing and like prepping for this trip. I was like, I know. I know I did really well because I studied. When I say studied, every YouTube, every podcast, because I wanted it to be enjoyable for our family, and especially such a big trip and such an expensive trip. I wanted it to flow smoothly. So yeah, my daughter goes wherever I go. And what I mastered too is how to travel on my own with her. So I can do New York by myself. I can do Toronto by myself. And Toronto, we're always back and forth to Toronto. So, I mean, I've mastered just her and I traveling without a third person. And if I need a third person, I can bring them along if necessary.
That leads me into a question that I'm curious to find the answer to. Right now, you have the flexibility because the little one is not in school. Mm-hmm. So you can still do all of your traveling and whatnot. She's 2 years old. Mm-hmm. In 2 years' time, she needs to be in school, a permanent fixture in a school somewhere. Mm-hmm. Are you preparing your business for when you are unable to make those kind of maneuvers in terms of traveling for your business? Because that, I'm going to say the obvious, because once she starts, you've got another 20 some odd years of being stuck in I don't want to use the word stuck, stuck in a single spot.
Yeah. I don't necessarily see it like that.
Okay.
Like we said, I'm in a different generation, right? I remember when I was pursuing medicine, our uncle said to me, you've got to find a job that you can take with you. And I will never forget him saying that to me, because my husband's career was picking up. He was going to Japan every other week and wants me to come with him. I was working at Princess Margaret Hospital in the research team there, and I'm like, I can't go with you every 2 weeks to Japan, My uncle said, you got to find a job that goes with you. So one of my mantras that I created myself is like, I don't go to work. Work comes to me.
Okay. Okay. I like that.
As long as I have my laptop, I can do anything. And I have proven that time and time again in terms of digital and email marketing. having a child now who needs to be in school, I've had many conversations with my husband about what are we going to do? Are we going to lend our lives to the same flexibility or change? And one thing that's made me very successful is I'm really good at seeing all of the resources I have and evaluating all of them to see what's going to help me accomplish my goal. That's from finances, that's from tools, that's from systems, and that's also from people. So I look at my network and I think, okay, who can I get to help me? Who can be and I'm doing the same thing for my daughter in her education. Sitting in a school all day, I'm at the park every day with my daughter and I see other children. I don't know if that's the route I want for my child. And I don't know if that's something that will support all that I'm doing. And I really believe I know with COVID, we really had to be pushed towards virtual. And I think it's a bit of a fusion of the both that I'm going to adopt for the first couple years. So she's able to really see the world. So, we went to Kenya. My husband goes to Tokyo. I mean, for her to miss out on that and for me not to go.
It's all about you, right?
No, it's not. My daughter's learning Japanese.
Okay, good.
So, Tokyo's a place she should really be.
Right.
Do I want to live in Tokyo or do I want to be going there frequently? There's just so many different pieces to think about. When I was in Nairobi, I met this person who was my mentee. She used to work at Holt Renfrew. And she travels with a team. She showed up at this beautiful hotel in Nairobi and she had a nanny. She had a tutor. She had a translator. And I'm like, okay. She's like, yeah, this is what I need to get through the day. And I was like, wow.
Am I in the wrong business?
Yeah. I was like, okay. And she was very calm. We sat for lunch. She sat there with her 3 people. One has the baby. One's translating, in Swahili. And I was just like, wow. Okay. And she told me, you should do this too. That's very extreme, but that works for her. But I do think getting other people involved would give me that freedom and give my daughter that freedom and let her see the world.
Awesome. Well, Aquila, I'm going to ask you one final question.
Yeah.
If you could have done things differently, what would that thing be, or those things?
In business?
In business. What changes would you have made if you knew now, then? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. What change would you have made?
I think I have 2 things. Number 1, I would have done a degree in business. That's something I think about all the time. I would have done a degree in business. And I remember as a kid telling my dad I wanted to do that. And he was open, but we didn't really know, my dad was my guidance counselor. I would pitch ideas to him. He's like, okay, do that. Or I have a friend who can talk to you. But we didn't know how that would go. And clearly the climate then was way different than now.
Yes, it is.
Day and night. So a business degree, you were, back then it's what are you going to do as a black woman in a business, now a black woman with a business degree, unstoppable. So that's the first thing. I wish I had done I did a degree in biochemistry and a master's in public health, which then allowed me to just do amazing things. But that's one thing. And then the second thing, in terms of momhood, I would have had my baby younger.
I think if I think really hard, I think that's a discussion that you and I had many years ago. But I'm not going to say that to anybody.
No, I think I would have done it younger. I think my mom told me to wait. My mom had me at 38, my brother at 40. So I think she was coming from her point of view.
Right.
But looking back on it, I think younger, I would have had even more energy. And I think I would have still been in Toronto. I'd have more resources around. But I don't regret any of the decisions I've made thus far. I think a lot of the decisions that I made alongside my husband, the ones that we made together and individually, has led to our success and has allowed us to have this flexibility that we have. I always tell I mentor a lot of people, a lot of young students and people who are trying to figure out what they want to do. And I tell them, when everybody was going to Miami for parties, my husband and I were in a basement watching burned DVDs. When everybody was going to the movies, So, to buy a $14 popcorn, we were staying at home popping our own popcorn. And those small decisions, you might think, oh, like live life, has allowed me now to have so much discipline, and to, that $1 I saved then is paying off now. So, yeah.
Well, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
I think there are a lot of women out there that are facing this, what they may think is a mountain ahead of them with their young ones, as they try and go out in the world and build a career. I mean, I've got 2 daughters. They haven't got kids yet. I'm too young to be a grandfather. Yes, I'm too young to be a grandfather.
The truth is that nobody's really talking about motherhood in the right way.
Well,
No, in the right way where it's very transparent. I think when you go on like discussions, it's either like, too polarized.
Okay.
It's either like motherhood's amazing, you can do it all, or motherhood is hard, it's grimy, it's you're in the trenches. But there's like a middle ground. I think that's where where I want to talk about both. Like, it's difficult, but like hearing your daughter like speak a sentence or sing to you in Japanese makes all of that grime so worth it. To go out with your daughter and for her to be able to sing or like say her numbers, it makes all of the meetings that you missed worth it. And I'm 2 years in the game with my daughter, and I feel like I can't wait till even next month. Like, what's gonna be the newest thing? And if you want to see how disciplined you are, have a child.
That's actually a good quote. I'm going to use that. If you want it, I'm going to use that. I'm going to borrow that.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of truth to that. I think it's not only discipline, it's about selflessness as well too, right? And this is both from mothers and fathers.
Fathers, yeah.
What are you willing to give up to allow them to have the life maybe that you didn't have, right? What are you willing to give up to show them a better life? It's not giving up it's not about necessarily giving up. It's about leading them in a direction where they can see that there is possibilities, right?
Yeah.
Those are really the questions. And there's a lot of young ladies out there. I hope that this encourages them to take strides. I'm always amazed at the number of young black women I'm seeing in business. It boggles my mind. Recently, I said finally a final question, right? A couple minutes ago.
No, we can talk.
I'm not done yet.
I have so like this discussion. I don't know, like black women in business right now. That's the wave right now, because I think black women have been given the something happened. There was a shift.
There was an absolute shift.
Yeah.
Recently, you and my daughter attended a function here in Toronto called the Toronto Curly Girl Meetup.
Yeah.
Right. And I had to sit there and watch all these young black women going into this building, coming and to be honest, I was amazed. I was amazed. I was impressed. But I have a single question that burned my mind. After being amazed and impressed, I asked myself, where are the young black men? But that's a topic for another day. But I think that the shift that you're talking about is an amazing shift. It is a shift that is inspiring my daughters to move forward. And there needs to be a lot more young black women as yourself, to push things forward and to show that can-do attitude towards young people at large, male or female, that, hey, you know what? Black, white, whatever, you can achieve regardless of what your situation is.
I spend a lot of time. I've always been a person who loves to mentor. And as my business changed and with a daughter, I've been mentoring even more. And that's because I wish somebody mentored me.
Right.
When I started, my entrepreneurship journey, I went from the person who was buying tickets to events and all to the person who's hosting events. And I felt like the industry or my colleagues were now like, whoa, this girl's like, she's in the game too. And they thought I was competition.
Right.
And rather than embracing me, they stood away. But my mentee embraced me, right? She became my mentor, and then she became my business partner.
Right.
Because I was just doing so well. She's like, let's work together. Let's make money together. Let's start a business together. And that was almost 10 years ago. So now I want to talk to as many young people as I can. From my godson to random people. People find me on Facebook. I have a daughter who wants to do. I have a son, he's not doing. I have a niece. And I'm like, give them my number. Let's meet on Zoom. And I talk to them. And I have to really tell them the truth. What the industry's like, where the opportunities are, especially because I'm in Silicon Valley too, a place that is a desert for Black people in tech. When I say desert, we're there, but we're not really there. So I'm inspired and encouraged to get more people in that industry, as well as just give people more hope that you could possibly do this too. So yeah, mentorship is a huge piece of my life. Not necessarily my business, but it's my way of giving back. And, I believe that will come around to my daughter one day.
Right.
The work that I'm putting into other young people, if I'm not there, God spare my life, may she experience the same thing.
All right. Well, I'm going back to my word I said a couple minutes ago.
Final question.
Finally, we've kind of come to the end of our discussion. Will you come back?
Oh yeah, this is amazing. So it made me do a lot of self-reflection. I haven't. This is my first interview post baby.
I am glad that you chose to do it with me.
Thank you. I think I'm very comfortable with you, because you're my cousin, and I think you've always been you're the first entrepreneur I've ever seen in my life.
Well, I remember telling you back in the day when you were doing all that medical stuff and busting your hump trying to get into medical school. And there was nothing wrong with that, but I said to you, why are you doing this when I can clearly see you're not happy doing it, and this is not where your talent lies? Why are you doing this? I said to you, you need to go and start your own business. And you said, I'm going to medical school. I said, okay.
You also said something to me while you said you're going to be the first millionaire in our family. And I took that really seriously. And I'm really happy to say I think I am.
Well, that's good.
I'm happy to say that, because and I was like, really? Does he think I can be the first? Can I do it? What? And I mean, throughout the years, it's been something that's when people say words to me, words are really important to me. So when people say things to me, I take it, I document it, and I use it to fuel my success. So I thank you. This was I just feel so happy and to share my story on this platform and with my cousin.
Well, I'm glad you're here. Thank you, everybody, for taking your time and joining us here on the Protect the Dream project. Now we're trying to put out an episode every other week. So if you listened last week was Michael Levitt, and the week before that, or the podcast before that was Paul Trammell. So I encourage you to go back and listen to those. And even season 1, we had some really great stuff in season 1. We were just kind of really going and getting our wings at that point in time, or getting our legs. So thank you for joining us. Thank you, Aquila Farrell. And join us at the next episode of the Protect the Dream project.
Thank you.